started smoking again. What, maybe 2 months ago. I'm a horrible man. What can I say?
You went through the whole thing
Of course.
quitting,
The first thing we say when I started recording is you calling me an idiot. Of course. I had to get the idiot on the fucking recording.
No.
Absolutely.
Oh man.
Wait,
well,
you're
it
trying
sets
to
the precedent for
It
the
does.
rest
I
of
swear
the
to
show.
fucking God. Oh my God.
You went through the whole damn
Mira.
shenanigans of quitting.
Soy un babosa. What do you want from me? Ridiculo.
Son of a bitch. This guy.
Ladies and gentlemen.
We can cuss and stuff, right? I mean, okay, it's Peter. I don't know.
Okay.
Why am I fucking asking? I don't know.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 66. Holy shit.
That's a good number.
Of course you would be.
like it.
66 of CONSERVATISH. My name is Peter Feliciano. Hello. Our guest tonight is Mera Candelaria.
Hi.
Stephani.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks for
Should I
coming.
wear
all the way
my
down
shades or should I? I should take them off. I think. Do I
Well,
still look fancy?
You still look fancier than I've
Thank you
ever
very
seen
much.
you in
Thank you
real
very
life.
much. I was thinking about that. I was wearing this dress shirt for something else, and then I was walking around and I was just like, I gotta wear a fucking dress shirt. I gotta wear clothes from now on. I feel
You
fucking.
should. Dude, I was just talking about that with my roommate. He's going to a birthday party.
Is this how you normally dress them?
No, I work at a bar. It's Cholo night. This is how I get my tips, y'all.
Every night is cholo
Every night. Well, in Boyle Heights, yes, every night.
What's that?
Boyle Heights is a neighborhood of LA.
I'm aware of that.
It's
But I'm
East
saying, like,
LA.
is it? What makes it more cholo?
Well, today specifically, it's this like vinyl party of folks who only spin oldies.
Oh, okay.
Oldies. So they all come like decked the fuck out. So I was like, well.
So you're talking found love on a two-way street and lost it on a lonely
sitting
highway.
on a fucking park, sitting in the park, man. That's what's gonna be all
for you.
Yes, that's my jam.
Lovely.
By the way.
So you're a musician, and you and I have known each other a very long time.
Too long.
Our parents dated a long
That's
time
true.
ago. What years were that? Like
I was,
99?
I believe, no. I think it was like 2000.
Okay.
Because I'm pretty sure I was like 11 when I met y'all.
Okay.
I was really
And
little.
you've been trying to scrub yourself of the memory from of meeting the four of us.
Man, it was my mom's birthday the other day, so I was looking through photos to post on Facebook
I
for
know
her.
you sent me one.
And I found a picture of you guys. Like, my mom looks like a
my
mean-ass
God.
chola. You
She
guys
is a
were all
mean-ass.
young.
Well,
She is.
she's
the
a
nicest
sweetheart.
lady
She's
in
the
world.
nicest.
She just looks
Shout
like a
out.
chola.
Love you,
Hey,
Mama.
Leti Candelaria. That's what's up?
But also a musician.
Yep.
And
That's how they met.
Yeah.
They were in the
doing
band
music.
together.
Yeah.
Was that Soldados de Ritmo? What
don't
was that
know.
back in the day? Latin lingo? I don't fucking know. All those cheesy ass names.
Do you throw on extra? Like, do you throw on extra shit?
Hey,
You
man.
make it chola like.
Latina and proud. Just saying. Bye.
I'm only halvesies, so maybe that's why.
What are you? What? You're Puerto Rican and what?
Puerto Rican, English, German, and a little bit of black.
You're going to make a joke. You're going to say something stupid.
Why would I? Me? I'm a very demure man.
So humble. So
Black in the
modest.
dick.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
I was expecting from the pants down.
Exactly.
Anyways.
But I do like watermelon.
Wow. Oh my God.
Anyway,
I can't.
so you've been doing music. You were doing music up in the Bay.
I was, man. You used to come to all my shows.
You were you put on a great show.
Oh, you're the nicest. Yeah.
For those who don't know, Cumbia. What is Cumbia?
Cumbia. It started in Colombia, but it's now like everywhere. All the Latin Americans have their own version of cumbia, but it's just a rhythm. It's a two-step, super simple, like the most basic, like 1-4-5 for all the musicians out there who know that. Like that's all cumbia is. But it's a dance genre. So
Okay.
That's what we do.
What happens when people put on like electronic beats to it? Does it change up
It's
the
still
genre
cumbia.
name?
No,
It's
well,
still
it could be
cumbia?
like electro cumbia.
Okay.
It's mostly like Mexican cumbia does like the electric beats, like synthesizer kind of stuff. But
Okay.
it's still the same, at the core, the same rhythm. That's happening.
Would you say you do more Mexican style? Or?
No, not at all. I don't think we do it. What we're currently doing is a lot more Caribbean. So we're not strictly cumbia anymore. We're doing a lot of salsa now. which your dad actually helped
Nice.
bring about. He arranged one of our songs for us and kind of got me on the salsa mindset.
Right.
But so we do cumbia. It's more Colombian than anything,
Okay.
just because of our instrumentation. We don't use synthesizers at all. It's all live instruments.
So
But
the instrumentation is kind of what dictates whether it's
yeah,
from
like what
one
kind of
place or
instruments
another.
you're using, how heavy you are on the electronics, even the style of writing. Like Mexican electronic cumbia has like a specific formula that people use that we're not doing that at all.
Okay.
It's more the like call and response, like almost African. Cumbia, when it started in Colombia, was a mixture of African rhythms because of the slave trade, right?
Right.
And then indigenous people who were there. And so this combination of oppressed people coming together, making beautiful music. Same
Right.
with salsa, same kind of origin story.
Right.
But so
all over Puerto Rico, all over Cuba, it's all. I mean, that's part of the reason why I'm part black is because.
yeah, the African slave trade. I mean, all of us in Latin America have some percentage of African
Right.
in
And
us.
some Spanish, I think too. Yeah, there's a whole lot of a mess of Spanish,
Yep.
and then Caribbean. Yeah, all that stuff. So when did you initially start doing music yourself? Oh, by the way, be careful of the cord. Sometimes it just makes a weird
That's no
noise.
good.
No,
You
bend it.
don't want
I don't
that.
give a fuck. Just buy a new one, but it makes a type
That's
of
fine.
noise.
Like a little squirrel. Nice.
Sorry, continue.
It's okay. I don't know what we're continuing.
Oh,
you were asking a question
I was
and
asking.
then you
Yeah,
got
no,
distracted.
I was wondering when you started doing music. Obviously, you grew up in a musical family.
I
but
did. I mean, I started doing music like on my own right when I left home, so I was like 18. I was doing the busking thing and the BART stations, which was great.
With what?
Just guitar and singing, and I was singing like rancheras, like those Mexican like drinking songs.
Right.
And I was all about it. And then a friend of mine who knew I sang and stuff, but he just like happened to be writing the BART, and he was like, "Hey, you're a good singer. Come audition for this new band that's starting," which was Candelaria.
Now they didn't have the name before you.
No, it
Okay.
was not named yet. We
Okay.
named it after me, man.
Of
We
course.
named it after me. But yeah, so I auditioned for the band and I started singing cumbia. And I was like, oh dang, this is awesome. Because singing, I have like mad respect for musicians who sing genres or play genres that people don't dance to. It's more of like a sit and watch and appreciate.
Okay.
So much respect. But after I got that taste of like playing dance music, it's a whole other fucking world. Like you can really gauge where your audience is at in a different way. The reciprocation of energy, like it just totally stole my heart, and I left the ranchera days behind.
Right. Well, yeah, I was thinking about that. First things first, I was listening to fucking Back in Love Again about an hour and a half ago, and I was like, why can't I find anywhere to dance to funk? And that's number one. That's one fucking problem. I don't know how it is in LA, but that's how it is in the Bay Area.
There's no major
nowhere-
funk parties
There's
out
no
here
fucking funk.
that
When I was
I know
living
of.
when I was living in Portland, there was this club called the Goodfoot. It was fucking ridiculous.
Goodfoot,
And they
that's
would
a
play
good name.
funk, and then they would play, they'd throw in OPP from time to time, some old school jams. And it was phenomenal, but there's nowhere really to dance like that.
But also like
that I
what
know
kind of funk? Because there's like different, like there's like
James
Tower of Power
Brown.
funk. Okay.
Uh,
And then there's like Zap funk, Zap and Rogers. Like it's a whole other thing. It's just because there's a really good party in the OC called Funk Freaks, but it's more like
What if
that.
you're not allowed to call it OC?
Oh,
Do you call
why?
it the OC? Does
Who's,
everyone
who
call it the
doesn't?
OC?
Who says it's not allowed? I'm not from here. I'm from the Bay. I'm a transplant.
Right, I don't give a Everyone's a fucking transplant.
Who says you
Everyone
can't call it
cool
the OC? Fucking
People
haters.
who are from OC, I think, they don't like the.
Well,
the
it's like
show.
people from San Francisco
You're
that
smoking
cringe
too?
when you say Frisco.
Yeah.
It's like, ugh.
Why though? What's
don't
the
say-
fucking point to?
I just
to
because
worrying
haters
about that?
don't hate.
This
you're
chair
leaving.
is too creaky.
I told you.
I know.
I told you.
Now I'm gonna be shorter. So you started doing that, but were you performing before then? Did you ever perform with your ma?
We did little things here and there for like the San Juan fiesta, or like
Right.
she would do little shows. And I would do like small things, like small gallery events kind of stuff by myself. So yeah, I was actually on fucking Facebook, dude, with the fucking throwbacks. Sent me a throwback a few days ago, like, oh, 10 years ago, here's what you posted. And it was like one of my first ever shows. Like, fuck, it's been 10
old
years.
as a
I
motherfucker.
don't like it. I'm like,
I kind of like it. I like
I'm
being
not old enough to be
because I've always
fucking
been
having
I've always
10
been
years
ornery. I've always been
You have.
I've always been rebellious. I like now I get to have a lawn to tell people to get off of. You know what I mean? Like
Shake your fist at
fucking,
people?
which are millennials.
With your fucking shirt. You have to dress like this, though, while
Dude,
you're
I have
shaking
to
your
do
fist.
that. I have
you
to dress
should.
like this all the time.
I think so.
I'm a fucking sexual man. So here's okay. So you were performing, but what did you start listening to? Oh, that's what I wanted to fucking talk to you
many
about too.
questions.
San Juan Bautista.
8-3 what? Shush.
There's
I'm
no one's
proud.
repping. No one's repping
8-3 what,
831.
bitch? Check
Are you
this
fucking?
tattoo. Check this fucking tattoo. You don't understand
It's getting
the level
so
of my
it's getting
love.
so South Bay in right now. But San Juan Bautista is one of the only places
not South Bay.
in 831 that I actually really enjoy. There's something weird about it. What do you think is it the tree line that cuts it off from the fucking? Because if it was any closer to 101, or if people could
It's
see
close.
it, it's close. It's right
No.
off of 101, but it feels almost like a very small, kind of quaint
So,
Mexican town to
yeah,
me.
my grandpa, he has a saying. He's like, if you blink, you miss it, and if you miss it, you're lucky. He's a cynical motherfucker.
Right.
I love him. Love that guy. But yeah, no, it's one of those towns off like in this Central Coast, almost valley area that like no one really knows exists unless you grew up in the area and had to do a mission project in 4th grade and you like
Right.
took a field trip. But it's super quaint. Every time I take the band up to the Bay, we'll either stay with my mom or like pass through San Juan just so they can experience. And they're like,
It's a cool little town,
what
man.
the hell kind
It
of
feels like it's
place is this?
1950.
It kind of got stuck
Right.
at some point and never really changed much. There's still only one bar, one stoplight. Like it's one store. It's fucking small.
Would you guys prefer going to Salinas or Gilroy when you were growing up?
Ooh, well, Gilroy was Gilroy's closer.
Right.
It's much closer.
But there's
And
still
Salinas,
not,
you got that traffic.
There's not even like nightlife. You just go there for
No.
Target. Is pretty much what you.
Oh,
go
for
into
yeah,
Gilroy.
like for shopping reasons or like less expensive gas.
Right. Could you smell the
Or
garlic?
Hollister. Hollister's also way closer. Chalister,
Really?
as we call it.
I don't think I've
It's only 10 minutes away.
been to Hollister. Like,
Hollister sucks.
okay, what sucks about
Sorry,
it?
not sorry.
No,
I doubt any of your listeners are from Hollister.
probably not.
Bye.
no. I have
Never
a couple
go
of listeners
there.
now in Russia.
What?
A couple of listeners in Iraq for some reason, unless that's bots. But hi, I love you too.
Hello, bots.
And then, and then also Iowa. Iowa was frustrated. I was like, why do I have 2 listeners in Iraq and like 1 listener in Iowa? But Iowa's finally started
the
to get on
same
the map.
listener.
So congratulations, Iowa. Go listen to La Mera Candelaria.
Yeah, spread us out to Iowa.
So you grew up there.
Yeah.
When did you leave there?
We left when I was 14.
Okay.
I graduated high school in San Jose.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a cool place. It's a cool place for like kids and older folks. Anyone in between who like doesn't have a family and is like,
You feel stuck.
yeah, it's small. So which is why it's great for like kids. Like it was such a cool place to grow up, and whenever you guys would come, I'm sure you felt like it's just this like quiet, super chill.
Yeah, playing. It's one of those places you can still play like in the cul-de-sac. You
Yeah.
can take out a ball and a bat.
Hell
and
yeah. Or just
still be
like
a
let
kid.
your kids kind of wander a little bit. I mean, maybe not so much now, but when I was a kid, we had free range of like at least a few blocks radius of my house, and we would just be everywhere, not
Yeah.
wearing shoes like little Mexican kids. I mean, we are little Mexican kids.
Eating corn. What is that shit that has corn? What is it like?
Elote?
Yeah, what a corn with what on it? What's
It's
that white
like corn
shit?
and
Is it like-
mayo, fucking cheese.
I knew it would
People
be
put
mayo.
salsa or not salsa, but like tapatio or tajin on there.
And what's with the spicy and the mango mix? I don't
Dude,
understand that shit.
Sweet and spicy. It's a classic all
Okay,
over the
but-
damn world.
No, but mango with spice. I can understand like
good.
give me a like a Panda Express where you get the sweet and the
Sweet and
spicy. You know
sour.
what I mean? Like, but
Sweet and
like
sour chicken.
not spicy. I just don't understand it. Maybe you know what? I tell you what.
Tapatio's
I haven't
not that
really-
spicy, though.
I'm not saying tapatio.
Or not tapatio or tajin. It's not like
No.
fucking melt your mouth spicy.
Dude, I've seen guys just literally take a handful of
yeah, just
tahini.
lick that shit. That's like kids all over any like East Side, barrio, Latin America. Like they're all just fucking
or in
licking
prison.
tajin.
That's, tahini is like
It's the currency, the new currency.
right. Well, it's
Yikes.
one of them. But like, yeah, no, I I grew up around you guys, and I never really felt it's so weird. Maybe it's because I'm mixed, or maybe it's because of the culture or whatever. But sometimes I can plug into a certain culture that I'm a part of, like the Latin culture. But I honestly feel like I can't 100% connect to any culture necessarily. Like maybe that's a human thing. Like you listen to hip hop, you listen to a bunch of other shit, ska, and I'm sure other shit too. But like I don't know. I don't. Anytime I'm fully immersed. There we go.
Immersed.
Listen.
Hey, we can make up
Someone
words.
as pretty as me doesn't have to be eloquent. But someone immersed, like I never feel like 100% plugged into the Latin culture. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Do you feel?
It's also very exclusive. I think in certain circles, like Latinos, I think it has to do with any group of people that has had their culture stripped away in certain senses for so long. Like when you come to this like new like brown power or like black power, like there's a certain sense of exclusivity to protect like insiders, because we've gone so long being the outsider,
right,
that now it's like anyone who tries to come in or is like not quite 100% dialed into a neighborhood or community, like I don't know, there's a sense of exclusivity. So like Latinos, one of the big like topics of conversation that's happening, it's been happening, but is becoming more like dominant in media, is Latinos who don't speak Spanish.
Right.
Is like a big thing. And there's a lot of like if I go to Mexico or any Latin American country, like my level of Spanish, I'm a gringa, and
you feel like Selena?
Yeah, well, me siento muy excited.
Right.
But yeah, and it's not just like how, there's a certain level of like almost embarrassment, like that I don't speak perfect Spanish, because here, like, you're a Latina in America, like you're fucking brown, but over there, as soon as you open your mouth, they're like, eres americana, like you're not Mexican, sorry.
Right.
And they're not necessarily trying to be mean about it, but like,
I think it's human nature.
Come on.
I think human nature dictates that we all kind of want to know, and I think it's okay to like, you kind of have to mentally look at the world and put it all in a box. You know what I mean? So it's not good. It can get extremes, but sometimes you have to like kind of understand, especially if you normally, like as an example, when we went over to China, I was dating this girl, and I look whitish, and
tall and like bald,
yeah, everybody's taller, like all of the non-Chinese, and they were like just staring at us like, whoa, I had another friend tell me that when she went to Hong Kong, she was very pale. They would come up and like just touch her arm, like, wow, very pale. You know what I mean? Because in China, the darker your skin is, the lower your class is.
Right. Well,
because
that's
that means you work in the fields or whatever. So there's a class system built up around that, and I think it's natural to like put each other kind of in a box. It's not good, but it kind of makes sense, as long as you're aware of it and you try to not do that. I think it's like, do you face when you go over to Mexico? How often do you go?
I mean, I was going there often when my mom was living there, but
okay,
like it's not like I'm just like,
would you feel weird like when people would go, oh, you're fucking American?
I mean, it's kind of just like, yes, I know, like, I know, I'm
but would
sorry,
they not
like
hang
almost
out with
apologetic. You? No, I mean, people are gonna say something and have an opinion. I think that I'm just gonna fucking say it. I think that Latinos in the U.S. are the snobbiest versus like Latinos in our home countries. Like they'll look at you and kind of laugh at your mistakes, or like you say something wrong. But they'll still be people. They're human. And Mexicans are like some of the most fucking humblest people and like
absolutely
welcoming people in the world.
Right.
But I think that Latinos here are a lot more like, will like make you feel some type of way.
If they were born here or if they were born somewhere else?
Both. But
okay.
I don't know. Latinos like in the Bay, for example, full of love, vibrant culture out there. But there's definitely some folks who are like, oh, your Spanish isn't perfect, or oh, you're not from this neighborhood, or oh, you didn't grow up. Like, I don't know. There's like weird little dynamics that happen, and it's like,
I've heard that Japanese are similar, where like that the Japanese almost like look down on other Asians, the Puerto Ricans look down on other Latinos because I already have citizenship. Like you had to swim here type of shit, right?
That's true. It also goes the other way of like looking down on migrants from those places, for sure.
Right. One thing as far as a weird difference, I don't know, I think even though it's dipping into a bit of the conservative territory, you are a server. So let me take my server experience and try to match it to your server experience. My server experience, I have great tips from black people. I have great tips from Mexicans from Mexico. Mexicans born in the U.S., I don't have good tips from. I don't know why. Every race and every age and everyone can sometimes give me a weird shit tip.
Yeah.
But like, then again, you're a bartender, so maybe that's a different experience. But my experience is like, I have a hard tips from English people because they just don't know no better.
They don't tip out there.
And from Eastern Europeans. And I think they know better, but they just kind of like, oh, I don't speak English, so I'm just gonna pretend. Exactly.
I don't understand.
Or like if I see a couple of cats from East San Jose with Niners jerseys on come in, I'm like, motherfucker. You know what I mean? Yeah. So what's your experience when it comes to that? Is it different because you're bartending, you think?
No, I don't think so. It's also, I'm in a very it's like a very isolated pocket. So like the people who come to that particular area of Boyle Heights and to those bars, it's like a certain type of people. We don't get a large variety of folks.
You don't have to deal with tourists very often.
Not really.
Okay.
Tourists who come to LA aren't trying to go to Boyle Heights. Like,
okay,
they're trying to go to the Hollywood sign.
Okay, continue your answer.
Trying to go to Hollywood.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, there's definitely an annoying fucking like group of people, and it seems to be. Usually, it's like. And there's always going to be exceptions. Of course. Last night, there was this group of young Latina women who like totally, I was expecting them to not tip. Because it's usually young Latina women don't tip at all. Right. And they were like fucking awesome and like tipping me every time. Hey girl, show me how to do the thing on the pad so I can tip you out. Awesome. It was cool. Awesome. I was like, yes, queens. Yes. Most of the time, young Latina women don't fucking tip. And I'm like, girl, come on, help me out. Like, we're sisters. Right. A lot of younger guys on dates. And I like give the girl a look. Yes. I give the girl a look. I can't fucking say anything, but I'm like,
he's all dressed up nice, nervous and shit, like on his first date. Oh, here's $2, you piece of shit.
Or no dollars, which it makes me even more annoyed. I'll look at the girl just like trying to like communicate silently, like you're on a date with a cheap fucking.
Don't fuck this guy.
He's gonna stop buying your shit after the second date, so just be aware.
Right.
He's a fucking cheapskate.
Right.
It bothers me. Right. Or like. Sometimes, like, okay, guys hitting on the bartender. Right. You're going to fucking ask me for my number and shit. Like, bitch, I see your tips all night. You didn't fucking tip me. Why would I give you my number? Like, get the fuck out of here, bro. Bye. Next.
Yeah. I often find, number one, you got to go 20, even if you're unhappy. I usually go 20%.
Unless I'm trying to rude.
Unless I'm trying to really make sure, like I was part of a conference earlier, and I wanted to really make sure that the servers had a good time with the conference. So I was trying to make us look really good. Right. You know, it was like $15, $20. You know what I mean? Like just a little extra. Make sure they're happy. You know. But like
that shit's real, man.
It's a how long have you been a server?
Not long. This is like a whole new chapter for me, man. I'm coming up on a year.
In the Bay?
No, I've always been in education. This is my first time. I mean, my very, very first job when I was 14, I was a busser. Right, but ever since then, I've been in education in some aspect. Right. But so, yeah, I started bartending 10 months ago because I got laid off from the school I was working at. And I really like it. It's cool. Yeah. I like working with people. I mean, you're working with kids. You're working with drunk people. It's kind of the same fucking thing. Right. Pretty much the same thing.
Oh, did we puke? Okay. All right.
Let's wipe the counter. Let's finish the beer, guys. Time to go.
Babies with money.
And alcohol.
Right. So, you like it, but obviously it's a means to an end, just like it is for me.
Well, yeah. I mean, dude, you're a musician. Like, it takes money to make money in music. Like, you got to put in bucks to pay your musicians or to record or to make merch. Like, you need money to do that. So it's been a really cool means to an end, though, because I wasn't happy. Like, I've been working in education. I love fucking teaching. I decided to stop teaching full time because it's just such a drain. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't have energy on the weekend to like write music or go to rehearsal because I was planning lessons and or like exhausted.
Wow. So it's actually more tiring to do that than it is to do bartending.
Hell yeah. Well, because bartending, you leave the bar, you're done. For the day.
But it's 3:30 in the morning.
True, but at least it's 3 in the morning. I get to go home and then have whatever days off. They're my days off.
Mentally, you can
Yeah. Versus a teacher, like, okay, I leave school at maybe 4 or 5, but my whole weekend is like lesson planning and grading and calling people and like you don't have a life. And as much as I love working with students and teaching. I was a history teacher, which was like super
Awesome.
fucking fun. I decided to leave full-time teaching. And so, yeah, the bartending thing, like, yes, it's long nights and it's a hustle because you're running back and forth all night. I mean, you know what it's like when it
Right.
gets slammed.
Right.
But
But then you
my
walk away
time
with a
is
couple
mine.
$100 and you're like, okay.
Yeah, and that couple $100 is going to pay for a recording session, or it's going to pay for a new batch of T-shirts or something. Like, so it's been the best in between that I can find as like someone who's trying to be a full-time musician is not quite there yet. Like, I still need to make bucks. Like, this is a really good.
Have you ever tried 100% full time yet?
Here in
Keep,
LA,
keep
yeah.
the mic a little, just once. I know you're very emotive.
Nah.
I know. So when you were in the Bay, you tried it?
Full-time teaching?
No, music.
Oh, I mean, that's the goal. I've never not worked
Okay.
so far.
Right. I tried it once and I wasn't ready yet. Let's just say that. Like a couple months in, I'm like, oh, fine, I'll get a fucking, it's just like.
Having like electricity is fun.
Electricity is fun.
Yeah.
That's the other thing too, is it was like, I was going along and I was doing it and then I realized like, the weird thing is I make a bunch of, it's more lucrative than serving, but you don't know when you're working.
Yeah,
I
it's very
can't work
insecure.
every day.
And it's
you know what I
also
mean? I work on
easier-
Friday and Saturday, maybe Sunday, and then it's like, I guess I'll busk for a few hours. Like it's not,
Well, and you're a solo musician.
Right,
I have to
So
pay
it's easier to-
4 or 5 other musicians every gig. So like,
right.
if the gig isn't paying that, it's got to come from somewhere. It's going to come out of my pocket, which is fine. I knew that coming into it.
Right.
I decided to work with a full band rather than be a solo artist,
Which is a badass band. You have some
great.
fucking amazing.
I know, they're-
Who's that one? That lady you have on the
Anita.
She's fucking great.
I know.
Your
So-
whole band is great.
and
But
they're-
I'm just saying, she's
People
cool.
fall in love with her. Like
Right.
they'll after the show they'll be like, "Hey, La Mera, you're great. Who's the fucking diva Mera? She's amazing. Fucking Sheila E.
Right.
Oh my god.
By the way, speaking of which, you just started a GoFundMe.
Yes, we
So,
did.
so you've released 2 EPs so far as La Mera Candelaria. How can people find and support the making of your new album? Can you talk about your new album?
Well, so the new album, it's our first full length. We've done 2 EPs so far, like you said, 3 songs and 2 songs. And so this one's our first full length, which I'm super excited about. We've been working really hard on it, and it sounds awesome. And so I had the choice of like, are we just going to do the mixing in-house for free?
Right.
Or, which is great, and it would probably sound
Fine,
great.
yeah. But you
But,
kind of want to do it. You
there's-
want to do it adult.
Yeah,
you know.
dude, like we put all this fucking time into it. We might as well just spend the bucks. So we started a GoFundMe just for mixing costs alone because luckily I'm such a #blessed person.
Right.
All the recording, everything was done for free. And
Awesome.
at my bassist's house, he's also a producer. So like I fucking scored.
Right.
And he also did our last EP as well. Brilliant guy. But so yeah, with all the time that we put into this, we decided to go with like a really great mixer here in town. It's still not all that expensive, but it's also something like rent.
You want to do it right.
You know,
Right.
yeah. So we decided to do a GoFundMe and just see where it goes. Like if people fucking come through and go all out and like we may raise more money, awesome. If we even get like halfway or 75% of the way, cool.
Right.
You know, like
Right.
any little bit helps. And so you can find the GoFundMe. We're on social media, Facebook, Instagram.
How do they spell it?
La Mera
For all the-
Candelaria.
for all the whites out there.
3 words. La, L-A. Mera, M-E-R-A. And then Candelaria, C-A-N-D-E-L-A-R-A. And on our Instagram and as well as on our Facebook, there's links.
ARIA.
Yeah. Is that what I said? What did
No,
I
I
say?
think you said ARA.
Get out of here.
Anyway, it's the first mistake you've ever made. I'm glad to get it on
I
paper
don't make
or on
mistakes.
video. Okay, so you fucking. I'm a mess. It's
also
very
on
hot
paper.
today out
It's
here
quite
in
warm.
Highland Park. It's beautiful though.
There's a
This
breeze.
trip was the first time. Last trip I came down, I ate some food with Animal. I think I told you about that girl, Animal, Lila Rose.
What?
Fucking great musician. She
name
was
is
on.
Animal?
Yeah, she's a
that?
badass. She's electronic kind of rock. She's like Bjork meets Portishead meets like a little more metal vibe to her. She's
a fun
badass.
mix.
But I ate a goddamn vegan restaurant with her and I made myself
Was
sick.
it the one right here?
Yeah.
Sucker.
You tried to take me there like
they
2 or
have
3
salads.
times.
Once. I tried to take you once. You didn't like the salad? You got a salad.
Mushroom burger. No, I got a fucking little sausages that are made of mushroom. Literally, I think I had food poisoning. Like my kidneys were it was bad.
I'm just
It-
saying
I
I
don't
don't
know
usually
what the
eat
hell
there.
I ate. I've eaten vegan food. I mean, I had an Oreo a couple of days ago. You know, that's vegan. But like, I've eaten vegan food, but that motherfucker, fuck that shit. Anyway, why did I go off on that
sorry.
rant?
I don't know.
But
Last time you were
this
here.
trip down here, I feel like I kind of like this. I don't like L.A. I have been very
I
vocal
know
about
about
not
your
liking
feelings about LA.
Oh yeah, you listened to that last episode.
I was like, it's all good, man. People from the Bay hate LA.
Listen, it's not because I'm
Hatred.
so Bay, because I'm not all fucking rah Bay either. Fucking, you know, I mean, I've lived there since I was 9 years old, mostly, and I'm a very Bay Area boy at heart. But there's a lot of shit, especially these days, that I'm just like, eh. So everywhere has its drawbacks. I just would like to be open and vocal about the drawbacks. That's all. And I feel like LA people are not open and vocal about the drawbacks.
No,
Everyone's
LA.
just like, rah,
Everyone's
rah,
fucking
LA.
all about LA. That's why I think the Bay hates LA so much.
Exactly.
'Cause
It's
they're,
a
like,
lack
all
of perspective, I think.
Right,
maybe
right,
it
right.
is. So you came down here how long ago?
3.5 years.
And you came down here specifically for music?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I had a very public and shitty breakup with Candelaria,
Your old band.
my old band, who still uses my name.
You want to talk
anyways,
about it a little bit?
We can talk about that in a second.
Okay.
But so yeah, it was just bad news bears, and you know the Bay, it's small.
It is.
The music community is small, and I had a lot of support from folks out there, but I just felt like I needed to break away from that energy that was happening and try somewhere new. And my experience being with that band, trying to break into LA, really made me think of okay, it was really fucking hard to break into LA. We never really did it. So if I'm gonna do this, I might as well go to one of the hardest places in California, because I'm not trying to go to New York yet. I'm not trying to leave California yet. I'm not ready. I'm ready.
No. I'm moving in
Can't
September.
do it.
I told you that, right?
I know you didn't. You told me you were thinking about it.
I'm all in.
Son of a
I'm
bitch.
fucking all in.
Where are you,
September.
New York right now?
Absolutely. Well, I was born there
Where are
originally.
you moving?
Why am I moving?
No, where? What part?
Oh,
of New York?
I don't fucking
You don't know yet?
I
Oh,
don't
you're
fucking
just
know.
New York
I'm
in
just
general?
in general. I have some family left over in Long Island. And then I've got a bunch of friends who are musicians and comedians in Manhattan and in Brooklyn, and so I just kind of want to figure it out from there. You know
That's
what I mean?
You've been out there a lot.
I have.
Recently.
Yeah, I went twice in the last 6 months
Yeah,
or so.
we kind of overlapped, and then I got too drunk and couldn't meet up
Oh,
with
yeah.
you. I was fucking hung the fuck over.
Now did you go out there specifically for that same, to kind of scope it out the same way I did? Okay, so you're not even ready. You're not even
no.
feeling
I'm not
it.
even thinking about New
What's
York.
the cumbia feel, or what's the Latin music scene over there versus here?
Latin music in New York is salsa dominated, which it is in most major cities still. Live salsa bands are the ones who are making the money. Cumbia bands aren't making any money anywhere right now.
Worse in the Bay than it is down here. Kind of.
It's just different.
Well, in what way?
It's just different. I mean, every scene for Latin music, you're not making a living playing in the city that you're from. Okay. You can't play every weekend unless you're a salsa band, which is there's a constant call for live salsa music, full bands, and there's budgets for it.
Do you feel like it's because, and maybe it's because they know more about salsa and the whites know more about salsa and that sort of thing, but also it's a different energy of dance.
It's possible.
It's
but
more upbeat, right?
It's more upbeat. Well, okay, let me revise slightly what I said. There is a market for cumbia everywhere, but there's a market for cumbia bands that are doing covers only. So the major cumbia songs that people hear on the radio, there's not much of a market for original cumbia music in any major city. I mean, it's there, people will go, but you can't make a living in that city playing every weekend like a salsa band or a cumbia band that does covers could. There's cumbia bands here. Anita, that we were just talking about, she's in an all-women's cumbia band. They only do covers, all the hits.
Right.
Selena, Sonora Dinamita, all the major songs. And they gig every fucking weekend, 2 or 3 times a weekend.
But that same thing applies to me. I mean, when I do my high-paying gigs, I'm mostly at a wine bar, I just booked a gig for $750 for a couple of hours, and I'm playing all fucking covers.
Yeah.
I might sneak in an original if people are paying attention. Number one, and number two, if they're feeling me and
They
we're having
seem, like,
fun.
amenable,
You know, I've softened the beaches enough with Part of Your World and Pony and a couple of other covers. You know, they like me. They're sold on me, and once they're sold on me, then okay, I'll sneak in a couple. But
Right.
also, my originals are a little fucking racy most of the time. So,
No.
have you heard me play?
I
my
haven't seen
originals?
you play. I've heard you've sent me some.
I'm amazing. But so the same thing applies, you know what I mean? Like when I book a show that's specifically me, or someone asks me to do a set on there, and I'll do originals. It's all like I've got a great friend of mine, Dave Walsh. Awesome. He plays cajon and other.
Nice.
He's a really nice dude. Good people. And they have a party coming up on the 27th, and I'm gonna go out there and play. And it's like, here are artists that we like from the area. Here's a half hour to just, or 15 minutes to just do your music.
Gotcha.
Everyone's quiet and paying attention, and they're enjoying the
'Cause they're
lyrics. And
specifically going for that.
yes,
To hear
but
something
there's
new.
Zero fucking money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the same thing applies.
Right.
And so it's a hard thing. Like I have to work at a restaurant. I have to kind of play covers. And don't get me wrong, I enjoy playing covers, but
Nothing wrong with
it doesn't feed the same thing as playing my originals, having people listen to my shit. Do you play covers sometimes?
We do. Well, especially when we first started this particular group, we did a lot of like Selena covers. Not a lot, but like we would throw 3 in a set.
Okay.
Just because we're a new band,
Right.
we do really, and now we're doing pretty much all originals because we've kind of eased people into that.
You
but
have a following?
we do. We have a nice little following here in LA, and definitely up in the Bay. There's like a lot of love still because I'm from there. That's where I started making music. But yeah. So now it transitioned from like a very cover heavy set at first to just kind of get people on board with what we're doing, and now we're able to transition more into just doing mostly originals, which is cool, or obscure covers, which
Okay.
I like to do.
Right. Do you ever get people like, oh, you played that, like who recognize it?
Very rarely.
It's very rare.
But it's cool when it happens. They're like, oh, have you heard the version of the such and such, like old sonero from Cuba? Like, yes, that's who inspired me to do it. Happens once in a while.
Have you ever heard of Nico Saquito? Oh, like 60s, 50s, Cuba.
Like a tercero?
Yeah, like a Jibaro, I think maybe like that old style.
Yeah.
Plays like Maria Cristina.
Oh, cool.
No quiere gobernar, I think it is. Maria Cristina no quiere gobernar.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking fun. Anyway, I want to talk about how you doing on time, by the way.
Oh,
Do you even
I don't
know
know what time it is.
Come on, girl.
What time? No, we're good.
Okay. I want to talk about some controversy. So, you had a band. How long were you guys together?
I have to think about that one. I was 19 when I joined.
And you're only
I
21
was-
now. So
yeah, I'm
that's
only
a-
21. We were together for 5 months. No, 6 years?
Okay. 6 years. Now, at what point did you start writing music for the band?
I wrote most of our early stuff.
Okay.
And then we got this amazing drummer, songwriter who wrote most of our songs after that.
He's that guy I met in the
big guy.
city.
Yeah. Long hair.
Fucking sweetheart.
Rafael Herrera. If you have any listeners in New Mexico, he plays with some groups out in Santa Fe. They're amazing. He's amazing.
Awesome.
He's amazing. But so yeah, he was our main songwriter, mostly because, like I was saying earlier, I was teaching full time at that later on in our time together, so I wasn't really writing a lot because I was just strained. But so yeah, I wrote a lot of our early stuff. We were together for a really long time, and we had a really good working relationship. It was really just two of us that
Writing?
remained the core.
Oh, okay.
No, like he will remain nameless, but myself and the other co-founder, he didn't write at all, but he was like the manager, the logistics guy. Like,
At what point did your name get used? Was it early
it
on?
was early on, yeah. Well, we hadn't even gigged yet. We were just like rehearsing, putting material together, and we're struggling to find a name. And he somehow, I don't know how, realized my last name was Candelaria and was like, oh, that's a gorgeous name. Let's use that.
It's a great name, yeah.
It is a beautiful name. And so let's use that for the band. So we did. And it worked out real great. There was like a point at which we were going to sign paperwork about like rights. And then we never did it because I had issues with it.
Okay.
And we didn't come to agreement, so it just never got signed.
What issues? Was it just the wording was a little fucking...
He was trying to push a deal in which, like, whoever remains, like, if somebody leaves, fine. But whoever remains and wants to keep the band going, they can keep the name. And I was like, but if that person who leaves is me, like, I'm going to take the fucking name because it's my last name, bro. So, bye.
Right.
Like, y'all can leave, cool, and I'll keep the name. And or I can leave and I'll keep the name. Like, that's how it's going to happen.
It's my fucking name.
Yeah.
Right?
And we just never agreed. So we kind of let it go because we were still on really good terms at that point. So we never really signed any paperwork.
Okay.
But
Now,
yeah, I mean...
fast forward a couple of years.
Couple years. We just were not seeing eye to eye creatively. Dynamics were getting weird. My input wasn't counting as much as other people's input, so I was getting like creatively frustrated.
You guys started to get more electronic. Is that what it is?
We did, which I didn't like because I felt like it was isolating the members of our audience who we were trying to reach the most.
Which were?
We play Cumbia. We are a Latin dance band, and we were gearing more towards the like hippie white crowds, which is fine. I'm not mad at that, but we would play gigs of like half white crowds, half Latino crowds, and the only people dancing would be the white folks, and the Latinos would be all standing on the side, not knowing
Waiting
what the
for you
fuck
to
we
play.
were
Right,
doing.
right,
Like,
right,
this
right,
is Cumbia. Like, I thought they said that this was going to be a Cumbia show.
Right.
And it was frustrating to me because I was like, we're playing Colombian music, so we say, but we're isolating the people who the music is coming from. So yeah, there was just a lot of creative differences, and communication was not good. I was also really young, like when I started, and let a lot of things kind of get away from me in terms of like management and finances. Like I just let somebody else do it. So at the end of the day, when I decided to leave, I really had no like grounds to stand on because I had let this other person take control of pretty much everything on the managerial side.
Had you decided at that point to move to LA yet or not yet?
I had already been thinking about it at least 6 months before I finally left, and had started making plans, started coming down here looking for housing. And I let them know, like, I'm not going to be here past the summer. And it was cool. Like, we went on a tour together. It was a little bit awkward, but because everyone knew, like, this is her last shows. But it still didn't get weird until the final days of, like, all right, bro, like, it's coming down to the nitty gritty. Like, what's up with the name? Because I want to continue making music as Candelaria in some form.
Had you guys already been registered with BMI or something like that, or okay.
Nothing? So there was it's all just like verbal agreements at that point. So we had a conversation, myself and the other co-founder, and it got really ugly. Yeah, it was bad. But so at the end of that conversation, we verbally agreed, like, okay, we're gonna continue as Candelaria. You can be like La Candelaria or something like that, but you can't just be Candelaria. And I was like, fine, do it. Like, people know who I am up here. Like, you're gonna lose a lot of ground with folks, and they did.
Because ultimately, not just they know what the artistic direction, but also people know kind of what the hell was going on.
Yeah.
But also, maybe part of it, you were like, at a certain point, you just needed to disconnect. I've been in that type of the one that reminds me. I was in this relationship a long time ago that was awful. We went if we went more than 2 days without screaming at each other, it was a fucking miracle, right?
Yikes.
And at a certain point, we broke up 3 fucking times in a year.
Oh my God.
Good sign.
Always a good sign.
But at a certain point, it didn't matter if I was at fault. I just had to get the fuck out of there. Right. At a certain point, I shoulda. At a certain point, it doesn't matter if it's like, we both have a part in this, and let me clean up my side of the street. At a certain point, you're like, you know what?
There's no amount of fixing that can.
Yeah, because if I continue to try to hit my head against that wall, even if it was my fault, it still was like, I can't do this. There's shit energy. You know what I mean?
Well, and that's the point that it got to, was like there was just not any kind of cohesive communication. Everybody was trying to go in a different direction. I felt like I wasn't being heard or listened to at all. So that's why I decided to leave. And it just was like the nail on the head with the whole conversation about the name. Like, really, dude? Really? And so long story short, we moved forward. I knew he was going to keep the name Candelaria. I was going to move forward with La Candelaria. And then my first EP was actually released under La Candelaria. And within like 2 months of the release, I get a cease and desist letter.
Fucking.
Like, and the
That's
claim
foul.
was that
That's
it's too
fucking foul.
similar and it's going to confuse audiences and bookers and all this stuff, which he played into. He would send emails to venues in the Bay, like we booked as La Candelaria, and he would send emails like, "Oh, I'm sorry, we're confused. Our name is Candelaria. Are you claiming that you booked us?" Like, he would instigate confusion amongst
That's nice.
consumers. Yeah, and so then shows would cancel on me, like, "Hey, we don't want to deal with this, whatever weird mess this is." Like, so the name La Mera Candelaria, which means the real Candelaria, came about because I like got all fucking salty and mad, and I like talked to lawyers. I was like, "How can I fucking keep my name?" And they were like, "Sorry, girl, like, it sucks. He's a shitty human, but like legally, your last name or not, like, look at Prince. You know, like, it doesn't matter if it's your legal name. You have no legal standing,
Right.
and you let him take over. Like, things are registered in his name, like all this fucking
It's
stuff.
an
like,
expensive, spiritually an expensive lesson. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And probably monetarily as well.
well,
but
thankfully, California Lawyers for the Arts has a pro bono faction if you can prove that you're broke as fuck. So I
I'll
did
be
it.
calling them soon.
Dude, they're amazing, and they were so helpful. And like, one person was even like, "I can only give you 20 minutes for free, but I'm down to call you outside of office hours just to discuss this, like, because I feel for you. Like, this is a shitty situation, and,
Right.
and I want to make sure you're just informed as possible." So it just made me realize, like, man, I'm gonna lose La Candelaria, and I was all fucking sad about it for like a few weeks, and then I realized, like, I brought in the mera aspect, the La Mera. It's different enough.
Right.
I talked to lawyers about it, and they were like, "Yeah, there's plenty of things that are way more similar than that legally can stand." So La Mera, like, that's enough to make you different. There's no longer going to be that consumer confusion that they're talking about. So, like, go for it. And now it's like part of my fucking persona. La Mera, like, is a thing, is an icon. It's
a brand.
It's a brand. La Mera is the brand now, and it kind of was like a really shitty way of finding it because I had to go through all that pain and mess and stuff. But it pushed me to a really great brand, and it also made me more knowledgeable. Like, okay, I can't like fuck around with certain things, like my name and who owns what and what my logistics are, who's managing things, like whose name is on the paperwork. So fuck you, man, but also thank you for teaching me a very valuable lesson.
Well, and that's the thing that I was thinking about, is that at a certain point you have to realize it all comes out in the wash, and I wouldn't want to be that band. I wouldn't want to
It's
be
sad.
spiritually that motherfucker.
And I don't want to spend a whole lot of time talking shit out of like a bitter thing,
No.
but it is like musician friends who are up there, who are around, who still see them around. They're like, "Girl, it's sad, man. It's sad." And they would do much better to just change the name and rid themselves of that, because they're clinging on to this really shitty energy that everyone knows about.
Right.
And you're still trying to play music with this name with completely different, like, it's not the same. It's just, and the quality of music has dropped. I mean, it's just, their audiences are like sparse. It's just like, dude, do yourself a favor.
Right.
But
Well, that's the other thing too, is that at a certain point, and we are all guilty of that. All humans are capable of doing dumb, awful shit.
Dumb
we
stuff.
all, yeah. But at a certain point, you have to kind of, if the top is shit, it trickles down from there.
the
The
fish
base,
rots
whatever
from
you
the
want.
head.
The fish rots from the head. Is that a Spanish
saying.
thing?
No. That's what your people say?
El pescado. No, what is it?
Just stop. Don't do
I
it.
work at a goddamn Peruvian place,
I
and I'm like, I'm practicing. But most of the Spanish that I say is, soy boricua y alemán, pero no entiendo mucho español porque solo mi padre habla mucho. Estoy practicando cada día, pero soy un pendejo también. So, it's like, it's hard to, thank you very much. My accent can, get there,
Yeah,
but other than
I
that, I'm
understand what
like,
you were trying to say.
Oh
my God.
But, yeah, I don't know. It's, is it hard to get that hair up like that?
No, dude, this took me 5 minutes.
What do? You put it, is there a
Magic.
bowling ball in
Shush.
there? What do you?
Talk about my hair secrets with you? This is magic.
I think the public wants to know.
That's
God
great.
damn it! I think
some
the fucking
things should remain a mystery.
you hang upside down. Is that what you did from one of those like back stretchers? And you just yes.
Oh my God, no.
So what's your experience? So you got in here? How are you doing on time?
Oh.
What time is it now?
I don't know.
Daddy got to drive back up to the Bay.
Oh.
What time is it?
It's 3:13.
Okay, so
A few more minutes.
Yeah,
we're good.
So I want to know what. So you got here a year and a half ago. You said three and a half. I'm sorry, 3.5 years ago.
Wow.
How soon were you able to assemble La Mera Candelaria?
Candelaria.
Maybe not in its current
Right.
state, because obviously musicians are
Yeah, they
always
come and
moving
go.
around and blah blah blah.
Especially here, everybody's like gigging.
Right.
It took a very long, hard year and a half, for sure. 2 years almost.
What did
this
it, what
current
was it? What was it like? You were gigging on your own?
No.
Did you?
No, it was crazy. I was writing a lot, and I started recording very early on with just like hired guns. So it was really just like the behind the scenes stuff. I wasn't gigging. I was working and writing and doing that as much as I could.
I don't like these dress pants. I'm sorry.
They look like they're scrunching.
They are.
Okay. But yeah, it sucked. And I like a year in, I was like, fuck this, I'm ready to go back. Like, I haven't gigged in over a year. This shit fucking sucks. Fuck LA.
I feel like that's because that's my fear, or one of my many fears about going to New York. It's like, okay, like I've been talking, like I was talking with Julie about. It's like you're getting down to the end of this, and you're like, am I even good? Am I even a good musician?
Right?
Like, what the fuck is happening?
Fucking
Like,
doubts, man.
I moved down here, and now I can't even do this. You know, I think it'll be a little easier for me. Number one, because I'm gonna have an album ready, and number two, I'm solo.
That makes all the difference, because
Right.
I'm completely dependent on like other musicians, and so that's why the first thing I did was like, I'm gonna record an EP and hire people to do it. And it was kind of crazy because like recording an EP with people who don't know the music, don't know the sound, like it takes time.
It was fun.
It was cool.
I like that.
Yes.
That was the one with the flowers.
It's cute.
Right?
It's
yeah,
cute.
the little sunflowers.
We've changed a lot since then, but it's fine.
Yeah, even when I was listening to it, I was like, yeah, this is good, but it's not like dance. It's
Yeah,
like
no,
more
it was
like
like super chill,
yeah,
like
yeah.
Sundays
Like,
in the backyard.
like a Mexican James Taylor.
I've never heard that. I'm like, don't
I think
even
that's
know
your
what to say to
brand.
that.
That's
oh
what it is.
shit! Dang. But yeah, so I mean, fuck it. I just stuck it out because I was like, fuck, I'm not gonna fucking move all the way down to fucking LA, leave everything to just give up. So it took a hot minute, but then once I got like that first like little core group of people, like the rest of them locked in, it was awesome.
What do you feel like it was? Do you feel like it was you had reached your writing where you needed to be writing wise, and that kind of attracted them? Was it more your personality? Was it your stage presence? Do you feel like it was a mix of all?
I mean, it helped. So once the EP was finished, we started doing like some preliminary gigs, which helps because musicians are reluctant to jump onto anything where it's just rehearsals, no gigs. You're not getting paid. So the fact that we were doing gigs, even if they were small, like not so great paying gigs, that really helped. I also connected with a friend who I had lost touch with, who's now my bassist and producer. He lives literally a block away. Like we pass each other walking our dogs. Like it's cute.
Right.
But he really helped to like lock it in because having his name, he's a well-respected musician here. Like having his name attached to the project really helped. And then just kind of like bringing musicians in, word of mouth. I know somebody who knows somebody. That's how I found Anita. Our other percussionist brought her in, and it just kind of like melded from there. And then we found our new tresero, who I don't think you've gotten to see him play yet, the guitar instrument.
Last time I saw you guys were in the city, I think.
Yeah, that was with John Villalobos, who's also great, but he's from the Bay.
Okay.
But yeah, so just like having like the gigging and constantly, well, not constantly, but like having releases come out at least once a year really helped, and like word of mouth amongst other musicians, like, oh yeah, they're a fun band. And for what I've heard from the musicians who play with me, they're like, yeah, girl, like we're gonna stick through it with you, like even if it's not that much pay, like call me because I'm down even to maybe turn down another gig for this because you're playing like original cool music. Most of my other musicians play in like cover bands, which is great, and it's money and it's consistent, but they really enjoy playing something that's like unique and new and fun, and like you have creative input in a different way. And yeah, like Anita, I fucking love that girl. Every time she comes up to the Bay with me, I'm always like, thank you so much for coming. I know it's like a big, it's like you're fucking in the car and you're staying at people's houses and it's not easy, but she's like, girl,
sleeping up against a keyboard,
always fun in the back seat of the fucking, but she's just like, girl, no, fuck that. Like, this is cool music. I'm glad to be a part of this group and to help you because y'all are cool. Like, not a lot of people are doing original music and like hustling this much.
Exactly. And that's the thing. I figure part of the reason why people who are musicians feel hesitant about getting onto something that's all one way or another. Part of it is either somebody who's doing covers, or someone who's doing originals, and there are a lot of motherfuckers who start bands. This was my experience with getting in to bands that were starting through Craigslist back in the day or whatever. Is that motherfuckers are too afraid to leave the rehearsal studio. There are a lot of motherfuckers who want to. Oh no, we just need a little more perfect, or we needed a little, who have no idea to just email a motherfucker and email a venue. It was so easy when I realized, I can just email Brainwash and just say, hey, yeah, I want to. And they're like, here's a video clip. Okay, just go online and pick out a schedule. I'm like, oh, okay. Now Brainwash was, rest in peace or whatever. Oh. But Brainwash was a the bottom of the starting, whatever.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was a lot easier to start gigging than I thought it would be. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's tedious, but honestly, every couple of months, I just send out a blast of emails to all the fucking wineries up in Napa and all the, here's me, and then get some bites and book some gigs. But there are a lot of people who want to hide behind, it's just not tweaked perfect, or it's not, and I feel like that would be the danger of me moving to New York. It's just not right yet, or I'm too afraid of the rejection and playing to nobody and all that shit, so I'll just stay in my garage type of shit.
I mean, you're right, but at the end of the day, is it really easier? Because how much is that going to weigh on you? Like,
no, I'm not saying I want to do that.
No, but I'm just saying, like, people who do tend to hide behind, like, it's not, like, what if they don't like it, or what if they reject me? Like, yes, you're going to have some shitty fucking gigs. Mm-hmm. That's going to happen.
Oh, yes.
There's going to be, like, rooms with 3 or 4 people who are not listening. Like,
yeah.
Every band
or
has
a venue who's like, actually, you guys didn't get the amount of door that we thought.
So
It's like, no, we had a fucking contract, you son of a bitch. I have emails, So yeah, it happens.
It fucking happens. But like, if you let that, or like, if I had let like, I'm not gigging, it's been so long, and this EP is taking forever, and I don't have any musicians.
Name, and what if I don't have any contacts?
Fuck yeah, and I didn't. I had 0 contacts in LA because, like,
really?
I was telling you, the reason why I chose LA was because Candelaria had such a hard time getting into LA, and I was like, fuck it, if I'm gonna make it anywhere, LA's the place to fucking start. Because if you can make it there, you can fucking go wherever the fuck you want. Because it's just LA.
Then why are you afraid of New York?
Because New York is on the ocean. You were just saying the ocean's on the wrong fucking side, man. I don't like it. It's snow. It's fucking cold. It's way too big. The fucking subway map gives me a fucking heart attack. I'm a Cali girl. I like having my ocean on this side. Left coast, baby. Left coast.
831, blah, blah, blah. But I'm saying, okay, right titty, left titty. But I'm saying, like, there's you're the one wearing the titty shirt. What do you want from
left
me?
Coast.
But ultimately, is that one of your goals?
I don't know. I mean, I'm down to explore the East Coast as like on a tour or something, but my heart's here.
Okay.
I don't really feel the need to. I like visiting. It's a fun place to be. I could imagine having a really great time touring the East Coast for sure.
Have you gone to salsa shows over there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They're awesome. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's different.
Right.
It's different from here. I definitely was like,
because there's Puerto Ricans there, there's Dominicans there. There's no fucking Puerto Ricans over here. There's no Dominicans. You get Mexican and you get Salvadorian, but you're not getting like Caribbean.
Right,
you know what I mean? But maybe there's eventually. I'm not saying move there, but I'm saying maybe I think there's probably a desire for it.
I think we could do really well because, like I was saying earlier, our music is much less Mexican inspired versus like Caribbean style. Like, people who hear us play now, as we currently are playing in this new EP, is like almost all salsa, like, or son, some like variation of salsa, not necessarily like salsa dura, like fucking Hector Lavoe salsa, but like,
I don't know any of the fucking references you're saying.
Can just nod. The stuff. It's very stripped down, like original salsa, like son cubano, like with very small instrumentation, like not a lot, mostly percussion, like. I think that would do really well over there. So I'm saying, like, I could imagine myself going to tour or going to visit, but I just don't. Maybe I'm just not ready to leave California yet.
Right.
I'm a California person.
Juan Bautista. So then we'll wrap with this question. I'm wondering.
Uh-oh.
No, it's not a bad question.
I'm just kidding. I'm preparing myself.
Okay. I actually, when she was, ladies and gentlemen, when I asked her to be on the show, she was like, I don't know. Had you listened to any episodes yet?
I had heard.
Okay.
I was
sorry.
like, oh my God.
No, but then I sent you the one with Julie, and you
Yeah,
were
the
like,
chill
okay,
one.
that's.
I was like, oh.
Well, I like having different, life
nice.
shit on it. But
Life shit.
and you and I are fucking friends. We know each
Yeah.
other from forever.
Far too long.
But
Nice.
are you having? So this is the gist of what the question is, because in all of this process of getting ready to move, in all of this process of finishing this album, in all of this hectic planning, I mean, I'm literally like filling out a list on my phone while I'm driving.
Oh
You know what I mean? I'm
Lord.
trying because I'm
That's
like,
not safe.
I know, but I gotta
Don't
get.
do
I'm like,
that.
I'm fuck. You know what I mean? In all of this process, I have to learn or be reminded to enjoy the process, enjoy the struggle, enjoy all the stuff. So even though you're reaching a point now where you feel like you're closer to where you want to be, how hard has it been to enjoy it? Are you having fun even in the shit?
Yeah. The happiest moments are like the moments when you're in the studio or when you're on stage, before and after a show, at rehearsal. Like those are the moments that I do it all for. But I'm also the manager, which is not my favorite thing to do. I like get minor panic attacks when my phone is like blowing up. I like freak the fuck out. I need to go take a shower or something because like it's just like 3 text messages, but I'm like, it's too fucking much. I can't do it. I don't like it. But at the end of the day, it's like, okay, somebody's gotta fucking do it. I don't have a manager yet.
Right.
But it's not that big of a deal stuff. You can fucking do it. I have to like talk myself down. Like just
Right.
reply. It will be fine. Just send the reply.
My favorite is when it's actually going to benefit you.
Right.
When it's going to benefit me and it's not difficult. They just need a yes or a
Yeah.
no, and I'm still like, I'll watch some more Netflix. You know what I mean?
Yes, dude, yes. I must just keep binging this shitty
Yes.
show I'm watching.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, it's good. It's good. I'm really happy with where we're at. We have a really busy summer coming up, thanks to me talking myself down from my panic attacks when I get more than 2 messages on my phone.
Right.
But it's good. Like I'm having fun because I see it growing, and taking this really cool shape. I see our audience responding in a cool way. Like, so it's definitely a lot of work, but
Yeah.
it's cool. I like
Yeah,
it.
I didn't realize that the music business actually required business.
There's a lot of business.
I just thought I was going to be famous because people could tell how
Somebody's
amazing
gonna
I was.
walk into a room and be like, sign him.
Right. Like I'd be
Now.
walking through a mall and they need a model.
Yes.
You know.
It's not the 50s.
No, unfortunately.
So sad.
Otherwise, I don't know if I would exist. What are you?
What?
You look Asian. You look.
Oh.
What are you?
Interracial marriage was not legal at that time. Yikes.
Thank you so much for coming on the
Thank
show.
you for
I hope you
driving all the way
had
down.
see. It wasn't that bad.
It wasn't.
You're all
It was
nervous.
good.
Why
I
are
know.
these? You know,
Because
God
it-
damn it, you're a famous. You want to be fucking known. This is part of the known is to be on my huge hit podcast.
You
God
have
damn
a
it.
hit podcast. That's why I was nervous. I was like, he's a fucking star. It's like fucking Leno up in here. I
Exactly.
don't know what I want to say. I'm going to say something stupid.
Leno with cuss words.
Yeah.
Thank you
No,
so
it's
much
good.
for being on the show. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. And please, again, remind everybody how they can support your music, how they can find your music.
Yes.
About the GoFundMe.
GoFundMe. Okay, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff. La Mera Candelaria, 3 words. La Mera Candelaria. I'm sure you'll have it written in the
at the end.
Oh, hush. And then on our social media, you can also find links to our GoFundMe. It's to support the mixing of our new album. It's going to be great.
And you can find the old stuff on Bandcamp, right?
Bandcamp,
Not old stuff,
Spotify,
but from last year.
iTunes.
Right.
Yeah, all the stuff. Yeah, follow us on Spotify, YouTube, all the good stuff. You'll get updates about the new album. It's coming out really soon.
And are you guys planning a tour up to the Bay?
I don't have anything set in stone, but I'm hoping to be there at the end of the summer. We're going out to the Southwest in June. We're doing a lot of gigs here in the LA and San Diego area through June and July, and then I'm hoping like August we'll be back in the Bay. I try to go up there every couple months.
You were just there like a
We were
couple
just
weeks
there.
ago. I just missed you.
When was it? February. It was
February-
end of February,
yeah,
early
end of
March.
February,
Yeah,
right.
we'll be back. We'll be
Yeah.
back. I can't stay away from the Bay. People love us.
I can. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow. Well, okay, yeah, moving to New York. Bye. Fucking leaving us.
You can find me and support this podcast at patreon.com/conservatish. You can find me at Instagram at Peter_Feliciano and Facebook and YouTube and Spotify and blah, blah, blah. Like this, subscribe to the channel, and share this with your friends. And I love you all very much. Yay. Bye, everybody.